welcome everybody. It's Evelyn. I have a lot to get through. I had a very significant download today. I have a couple messages that I got, as my voice goes, from a couple other messages I did in the past couple days, but are more minor. And then I'm going to just get right into today's read, which is in front of you for the twin flames. Okay, let's go ahead first and just take a deep breath. Sending lots of love and blessings out to you all. All right, so stay tuned definitely for the read for today. I just want to give you a couple quick messages from before, and then we'll get right into today's stuff because there's a lot to review, and there's some learning stuff that came through, but it was really important. It had to do with the carbon crystalline body, and it was very significant. So the first message, this was a quote too from Kathy O'Brien, and that was on Laura Eisenhower's channel. She was interviewing Kathy O'Brien, and Kathy O'Brien said, "You don't need to love yourself first. You just need to be the love that you are." And I really love that quote. The first message, editor-in-chief was coming up, and from that, something said poisoner-in-chief. I forget where that was from. Oh, it was from 1,000 Pieces, because I watched 1,000 Pieces. Poisoner-in-chief came up, and editor-in-chief was coming up in the code line there, so that was significant. The learned man, the sage, the poet, seeing the source as the senior sage. The drunk madman, right? The crazy person, the jester. The multicolored person. The well-fed, sated saxifrage. And I love that saxifrage because it's a stone-breaking plant. It's literally the Trojan horse, right? Breaking in from within, outward. The stone-breaking plant, the bushel, the star, clearly the problem. Editor-in-chief, God strikes twice. Source, sun, the wise stone-breaking plant. This of the stars, wise DNA of the chakra system and the Christ consciousness. Instead of choosing a path at the Y in the road, or in other words, Y-O-U, it was coming up as F-O-U or Phi-O-U. Instead of choosing a path at the Y in the road, U, or Y-O-U, expand and contract with Fu, the Phi-O-U, the stone-breaking plant, the Trojan horse. That was very significant. That came up on the first. Then this one was done on the second, and it actually was cut and dealt at 144, the 144,000. And the message from this one, not as much from the code line as the 5 indigos came up, so I just wanted to give that to you really quick. Take the high road east to the twin, the Christ God, so much the shadow, the 5 of the freedom, and change the Hierophant. The indigo that you are, the junior was coming up, the individual, right? Because you're the junior of someone else teaching you something, of the senior. The 3 of the twin flames, the 1, the source embodiment of the human, and the tail. The 309 east, the tail, the Christ God energy, so much the shadow, the 5 indigo generations, and indigo junior coming up as the 5 different indigos. And that came up from blogspirituality.com, quoted by Nancy Ann Tapp, T-A-P-P-E. So the first indigo was considered alpha, born 58 to 68, awakening 1986 to 96, and their aura is dark blue and green with purple. The beta was considered born from 68 to 78, and awakening 1996 to 2006. Blue, green, purple, but no longer with a metallic shield, because the farther back it was, the more you needed protection. And the alpha and beta look much younger than they are. Okay, so then the third one was gamma, born 78 to 88. And intellectual awakening, it was specified differently for this one, intellectual awakening 2006 to 2016, with minimal protective shield, purple and marks of ochre and crystal colors. The fourth one is Delta, born 88 to 98, pure indigo, awakening 16 to 2026, and are too sensitive. They're hyperactive and extroverted, very showy and confident, and yet very sensitive at the same time. Difficult during their learning years, and they want blue and purple colors. They crave those colors. Also slow music and avoid crowds. The last one was Omega, born 98 to 2008, the last pure indigo generation, and the dark night of the soul will be 2026 to 36 for them. The Delta and Omega crystal kids with bright crystal auras, vulnerable to dermatology issues, which is interesting because my daughter's always had lots of different weird issues. Allergies, disease, upper respiratory due to pollution, and autistic or Asperger's. Autism, a way to protect them from attack and neurosis of the outside world. And most people start their awakening around 28, 29 years old, and it usually lasts about 7.5 years, which I don't feel was the case for me because I'm much older than that, but that was what they were listing. Okay. So, and then when I started this read, the slave race was coming up. The slave race that we're ending, right, as we go into Aquarius, no longer being that slave race. And it was interesting too because Magenta Pixie had brought up in her last posting the yod, and the yod is the same shape as the triangle that I was just reporting to you guys from the Rock of Gibraltar. You know, be the same type of shape because it's a very narrow triangle. Oh, that's interesting too because last week or the week before something came up about the Russian triangle, which is also a very steep triangle. It's much more than the 51 degree. It's more like 76 degrees, the Russian triangle, which is more like that yod energy. So then I have, I did another read yesterday, last night, and that was about the lovers and the lightning flash of God. The six, the lovers, the Sophia 9, the collective consciousness of the divine feminine, and the lightning flash, the God, the one of two, the caravan, right, the inn on the side of the road, the Sophia, Christ, God, right, the three, the Christo, Sophia, and God being the third, the high vibe abundance of the Page of Swords. The thorn is their pride as opposed to being in your side. That thorn is their pride. So it's saying don't let the pride get in your way of not being top dog. The thorn or the sting was very significant here. The lover's flash of light, a small farm field within a bigger one, or a young sheep or doe, one of two, the Sophia, Christ, God, or quote unquote, listen to this, the 2-point type, the polarized and merged, the destined abundant, the stinging news, the thorn in the side, which is the pride. And it's just reminding you of that here. The 2-point type. I love that definition. A kind of rapidly spinning ground-based firework. So imagine that energy. All right, so now we get into today, and this was very significant. And I didn't post those because, although they definitely had some relevant information, I just wasn't feeling it, and I was kind of waiting for a more significant message to come through, which then today I wasn't expecting it. It really came through. I was working all day on this. So I finished, I cut the SIRIAN Starseed deck today at 10:25, which is the read in front of you. For those of you not familiar, it's a 7-deck read. It's a lot of energy on the table. If something doesn't resonate with you, don't force it to fit your situation. It's for the twins, both the masculine and feminine. If you want something more personal, you can always connect with me. My information's below on my website, twinflames3344.com. I have a CD out there also called Ashes, Twin Towers to Twin Flames by Evelyn Stainthorpe, if you want to check it out. I finished clarifying at 10:34, which is the Wheel of Fortune, and the 34, which is the Eight of Wands, right? The arrows of love, that fast-paced energy back and forth. At 10:33, which is the Christ vibration, it was very interesting the way that the tarot of sexual magic cards were laying out. It was literally like, the old-fashioned movies where they do stills and then, make them into a movie. It was literally the cards kind of playing out one scene. It was very interesting. And it had to do with the divine feminine in the 5D dream world, and then on the couch laying down, then on the couch sitting and purging, and then getting their wish and being out in the sun. It was very interesting the way it came out. 1034, then, as I was clarifying, of chalices came out, which is all about the heart and emotions. And then ices, like ice, came up, but also that can reference Isis as well, was coming up. I finished clarifying. Oh, sorry, I don't have my sorry about that. I didn't realize my mic wasn't attached to me. So I hope you could hear all that. But either way, now we're getting into the significant stuff. Okay, so I finished clarifying at 1049, the Wheel of Fortune and the Nine of Cups, the Get Your Wish card. The major arcana in the read in front of you was Abundance, which is the Empress, and Hanging Man, which is the Hangman. Before the read, Reflection also came up, which is the Hermit. There were 3 swords, 4 wands, 1 pentacle, and 1 cup in the read. So a lot of wands and a lot of swords here. So wands is all about passion, energy, physical things, and the sword's all about thoughts and words and painful types of things. We had 1 pentacle and 1 cup, though, and the Knight of Swords and the King of Wands were both in the read today. Those were the only court cards. Excuse me, the Knight of Swords and the King of Wands. We had double 2s, double 5s, and double 10s, very significant. The 1010 is that very high vibration to keep it high. The 55 of the Ace of Swords, the Truth, the Excalibur energy. And again, that's the sword and the stone being the Queen of Swords, right? Very hurt with the sword in her heart. And then the stone to be pulled out by that infiltration, going to go in by becoming part of what it is, and then infiltrating from within, the Trojan horse energy here. The 22 of the Fool coming up as well, having that open heart and being free to leap in a leap of faith. The 2, 5, and 10 also came up early on in my journey. There was a combination of those numbers having to do with the 5 times 2 is 10. We also had, and that has to do with like the mid-cycle, and 10 is really already into the next cycle. It's not even part of the current cycle because the cycle's 1 through 9. 10 is the 1 going into the second cycle. So 12 came up, which is the Hangman. 56, which is the 2 of Swords. 25, which is the Knight of Wands. And 5, 10, and 6, 10. So it's 51 with 0 behind it, which is source embodiment. So a lot of energy backing up the King of Swords. And then the 61, 0, with 0 backing up 61, which is the 7 of Swords, that risk card. The code line here was all about manifestation. The number was 26 from 10, 6, and another 10. And 16 could come up here as well in the code line, but 26 was the main number, which is the Page of Wands, that inspiration. Page of Wands was upright in the read as well. And we also had 3411, which is the 8 of Wands again, and 11 of Justice. And 12 being the Hangman, 56 the 2 of Swords, 25 the Knight of Wands, and the 5, 10, and 6, 10 I told you about already. Feline immunodeficiency virus came up here right away, as well as factor 4, the clotting factor. And again, the 4 coming up, the 1V as the number 4, because that was significant today in the messages that came through. So remember that I said 4 came up. Also RFI, radio frequency ablation came up for me here, but also RFI, which is request for information. And also R5, which came up as a pop band, which is Brothers. I'm not really familiar with them, but, and then the camera, Canon EOS R5 came up, which is full frame, mirrorless, interchangeable lens camera. So it's basically saying, once you get to the 5D, you no longer need to mirror, right? But of course, we're multidimensional, so if you drop back into 3D, you may mirror again, but it was just bringing up that the 5D is full-frame, mirrorless, interchangeable lens camera. So radio frequency came up here, IV, and I actually worked in interventional radiology for 25 years, so we used to do radio frequency ablation procedures, to get rid of cancer and things like that. So, but the radio frequency here, that level of frequency, or sound coming in IV, and they can reference to the energy coming in from the sun. 10 off, master of the phi energy, the expansion and contracting, the Sophia pand, or the curtain on the rod of the contract, the Christ consciousness on tract, the curtain on the tract going back and forth, the journey of hating of the blind man and orphans, hating the thoughts and words, the journey of this. And then Jack of all trades, master of none was coming up here. So Jack came up twice, not only in Jack of all trades, but it came up again as a definition of lad, which one of the definitions is Jack the lad. So Jack was very significant here. A request for information of creation in the high vibration of the phi master, as opposed to the thigh master. The good news of the aha energy, the eureka, the expression of joy, elation, triumph, and discovery, or grief and hesitation. The HA also means to eat, gnaw, consume, wear out, capture, open, and the number 4 again here. The house, the structure, right, the stability. He, she, hectare, which means 2.5 acres. And the 2 animals had come up being about 2 years old, the deer and the, I forget what the other animal was, but the definition was specifically a deer around 2 years old. Alcohol came up, community, pig, song, pardon, water, the letter H, hurrah, yay, to have, to possess, to give, understood. I told you so, yes, no, and tooth all came up. So the request for information of creation in this high vibration of the phi master, the good news of the ha or the eureka moment regarding the bliss state. In other words, there's no point. And I want to go back to the acronym that came up, ADEI. So there's no word that comes up in the Wiktionary anyway, that's ADEI. So what I do now, if I don't see a word that comes up, I get the word that is there, that the rest of the word is a totally separate word that I can then subtract from the definition and then get the definition for the word I didn't have a definition for. So I was looking up ADEI, and there was multiple choices. One was ADEI LAD. So lad was the separate word. So I looked up Adalad to see what the definition was, so I could just subtract lad from the definition and get what I need. So Adalad came up as the building. It's a building. But if you build a building and subtract the lad, what's the point? Because the lads are the ones who build the buildings. So literally that was coming up as the point, because I took another word, ADEIR, if you take, which means to say or utter, to mean, to refer. So if I take that, the R out of a deer, which means to say, there is no point, because you're taking the hour out of to say, then what's the point of saying anything? Because there's no hour, there's no other person to say it to. So literally the word ADEI was coming up as there is no point. Or in other words, how do you write no point? 0 point. So I love how they bring this to me. So there is no point. So that's this word, remember, ADEI, is literally translating here as 0 point. The request for information of creation in high vibration energy of the phi expanding and contracting, being that phi master, the good news of that eureka moment, your epiphanies, the expression of joy and elation and triumph and discovery there, of the bliss at the no point, the 0 point manifestation. So ADEI also translates to aid I am that I am, to aid yourself, and also to add to I, the 0 point and no point. And yeah, and by the way, today is Sunday, and it is the 3rd. The 3 is the Empress, and the day adds up to 8, which is the Strength card. So we have abundance of the Empress and Gaia, and the Strength card to persevere. So 2 major arcana today. Well, I guess in the beginning of the month they usually are because they're lower numbers. So I went further with ADEI, which means no point or 0 point, or what's the point, which also equals to aid the I am presence. Also after death of the EI, which is the egg, or to add to the EI, the exponential integral, which I then wrote down the formula of that. The EI also means, besides egg, testicle, balls, bucks, clown, no, don't, doesn't, so very feminine energy there. They, those, pine tree, voice, sound, 5, mother, here is, here are, there, they, her, to her, water, and I, his, its, and we. And the last one I did, the eye came up, someone getting kicked in the eye. So that was significant there. But also after death of the egg, to send in the clowns, add the voice, the sound, which then comes up. I'm just realizing now that brings up the radio frequency. To add the voice, the sound, his, hers, they, and those, the mother, the fire, the water, the after death, or the adding of a testicle or eye, or in other words, after death, what's the point? There is none, right? There's no point in the end. So understand this energy, because this is the 0 point energy between life and death. Everything that you've worried about until now has no purpose after you're dead. So it's reminding you what's important to you in your life, what's significant. Because, once you're dead, nothing you have means anything anyway. And you're not dead anyway, you're just transitioning to another plane. So the R5 came up. I told you about the mirrorless camera. Or R as our, mirrorless, full frame, interchangeable lens. The clotting factor 4, the feline immunodeficiency virus. And interesting, because my mother's back in the hospital again. They put her on, I think, 5 days of an antiviral. R, 15 minutes of fame, also coming up here, of expansion and contracting, being the master at that. The expansion and contraction of the journey, of the eureka moments, the epiphanies, of bliss, ending pain, right? Because the bliss comes from ending pain. The transition of life to other life, the 3D, 4D, 5D. No actual death, only shift and bliss state between. For manifestation. 4, the number 4, man, the lowercase I is the chakra system, and then festation, which is having a festiveness. So the man's act of festing through the chakra system, being the human with the third eye, will's eye then came up. For man, for manifest, the number 4, man, I am that I am, fest, for a celebration of I am that I am. The 4, the number 4, being an illusion of control, stability, and power through stagnancy. 3 is the prompt to co-create. It is a third, 33.33333, the infinity of 3s, to infinity and beyond. And you notice the number 3 reflects the letter E, and as I wrote to infinity and beyond, that's the E with the line above and a line below, the and symbol. To infinity and beyond is the E. So the E came up as the reflection of the number 3, the other side of the coin of 3, and not C for 3. So when I put the E and the 3 together, which of course makes the infinity symbol, it makes the number 8. I'm like, okay, so this is significant, but the 3 and the E are coming up, but the E actually is a 5. So why is that? Because the 5, and then I want to know also because the number 3 is the letter C. But when you write the letter C, there isn't another letter or number that reflects it properly. But what does reflect the C, which is the Christ consciousness, is the parentheses. That's the only way the C gets in the symbolism that I know of. that the C gets reflected. So here now we have 2 parentheses, which, oh, by the way, is what that means. The side note, the explanation, the new information to help understand better, a digression. The parentheses, so I looked up that, because literally now we're going from the 3 and the E becoming the number 8, and within the number 8, there's 2 sets of parentheses, right? Because there's 2 circles. So there's 2 parentheses because they become a circle on the top and 2 on the bottom. But then there's an X in the middle, which is the 0 point, to connect the 2 sets of parentheses. And parentheses literally means, the way it breaks down, parent, of course, you know parent, but I'll give you more definitions than that. But HESIS, parentheses. So parent we know, so I looked up HESIS, which is the plural of Jesus, which is literally the word for Jesus. It also means I stick, cling, cleave, adhere, keep close to, attach, follow, pursue, remain fixed. And this is all about to the parent, right? The parent cleaving to the Jesus energy here. The continuing, the persist, the suspended, the brought to a standstill, being stuck in a situation, a loss, embarrassed, hesitation. Another word that came up for hesis is HESIN, which means iron, and also literally breaks down to he sin. And then HETTA also is a word that came up under hesis. And that has to do with a cap or a hood, a black nape and a crown, the foreskin, to heat and heat. And all of that having to do with capping something off to make it heat up. A little extra something special, the icing on the cake. HETT means hot and fierce. And it can be like a grenade energy, the ejection. To threaten, to scare. Again, this brings up the energy of the adrenochrome. To threaten and scare someone, to create something in their system that will benefit them. The name, the denomination coming up here, as well as the TA. TA comes up as a lot of different things, but amongst those is to castrate and to neuter, and conditional moods. And father comes up as opposed to the mother that came up before. So, to cause bliss in the releasing of pain, all right? And that parallels to adrenochrome, but they're showing us how it benefits to us in the normal world. And this parallels also to the olive oil that's grown in Morocco, because it grows in a desert where it normally can't grow. It basically is starved, and so it produces more of this ingredient that's helpful to us. So it's showing us how we can make something positive out of something negative. The parentheses, I broke down the PARENT and then thesis. So I had a whole lot of definitions, but any which way, the parent appears to be equal, suitable couple. The stingray and the skunk come up here, as well as the pear and last year. A giant, a body, to empty or pour, to graft onto another, to transfer their DNA, or what a parent does to their child. A coupling of Jesus, to heat and then cover, to cause to boil over. The parent's covering of the crown and the penis and the body, to heat, iron, he sin, to cleave, attach, stand still, be struck, to be at a loss, embarrassed, or hesitate. So it's literally the parents doing this to the child on purpose, to contain the energy within them. So I'm going to show you a picture first, just of what I was drawing, so you have a visual to make it, clearer what I'm talking about here, okay? So you have the 8 here, right, of the 3 and the E together, and then here it comes up as the 3 and the E, but also the 2 parentheses, one here and one here, right? So the masculine, feminine coming together, with the center, which is the X marks the spot, but also bringing in the cap and the base, which then, if you bring the X and the 2 cap and base together, it literally becomes the hourglass here. But you see how sharp the angles are as opposed to the circles? And if you take this apart, it becomes the 7 and the upside down reverse 7. Okay? So there's also the reversal energy of the Z and 5, or Z and S, or 2 and 5, and Z and S are that hourglass energy right there. All right, so we're not finished yet. So the parentheses, the Christ, the parentheses is the C. Remember, C for me is the symbol of the Christ consciousness, the unity consciousness. So the parentheses is the Christ consciousness and the not Christ, right? The Antichrist. And the explanation between them, right, that you put parentheses up for, is an explanation between, to merge to the middle, to the 0 point. The no point here nor there. An afterthought of no consequence. So here's the parentheses, and X marks the spot between the two sets of parentheses. Number 3 reflects the E. That becomes the 8. The 8 has the X in the middle to join them, with the top line and the bottom line being the crown and the base. They will parallel to the soul star and the earth star chakras. The E reflects the 5 as well, and is the and sign. Like I said, the E with the line, a straight line above it and a straight line below it, is the and symbol. The infinite expansion of the 1/3, the 33.33 infinity and beyond. The 3 equaling the Trinity, which is the triangle. But notice that if we're talking about the 3 in Trinity, how does the 5 come into all this with the E and the expansion? Well, the Trinity of the triangle comes up in the 3D as the cone, right? Because a cone triangle will actually have a circle bottom. It doesn't have a triangle bottom, it has a circle bottom. The pyramid expression of that would have a triangle bottom, but the cone has a circle bottom. So the 3 Trinity with the circle bottom is coming up as the E, and which is the number 5 from the alphabet, is the expansion energy. The cone equaling the opening circle with the triangle depending on the view or which perspective you take. But a pyramid has 4 triangles, right? Because it has 3 sides, and then the bottom is another triangle. 3 sides and 1 on the bottom. 5 is a mirrorless lens after the factor 4, the 4D bridge, the virus, the fame, from the 3D mirror and the shift and bliss state between them. The 4, the man-I festation, the 4-man-I fest, celebrate. The 4 plus I, or 1, equals 5, which is the change, the triangle. The same triangle, different perspective. So if 3 reflects E and E equals 5, what is C if the reflection of C isn't a letter or number I recognize? Well, it is the parentheses. 2 sets of parentheses, each connecting with a DNA strand. Okay, so I'm going to show you the picture again here. Right? So 2 sets of parentheses connected with a DNA strand for each one. Okay? And then you have the X in the middle, and then the cap, which is the crown, and the base, or the star, the soul star chakra, or the earth star chakra. And then the X in the middle with the top line and the bottom line comes together is the 7 and the upside down 7, and also becomes the hourglass figure, which is the middle of the toroidal field. This is the 0 point right there, which then creates those toroidal fields like in the apple. Okay? So the 2 sets of parentheses, each connecting, excuse me, each connecting with a DNA strand between the earth star grounding and the soul star covering the crown in order to heat things up in a closed system to then the open system of 5D. Because if you see the toroidal field, the hourglass shape in the middle is open on either side to expand energy while creating the spinning fields side by side of the apple. So in closing this system, what do you think creates? Well, then it took me on a little beeline here. I digress. To carbon and diamond. And as we change to from carbon to crystalline energy, and the iron core to the diamond core energy. 3 forms of carbon come up here. So carbon itself from coal or charcoal is shapeless as a molecule. However, as a crystal, it's in 3 forms, the allotropes. So the 3 forms of carbon, or their crystalline form, is graphite, diamond, and fullerene. And the diamond, of course, you know what a diamond is. The graphite is like, the material on a pencil. And then the fullerene is more of something that you can form solutions with. Okay, so there are 3 different strengths of the carbon. The diamond, of course, is the strongest natural substance in the world. And then graphite is softer. It doesn't connect as many carbons together. So the diamond, each carbon atom is bonded to 4 other carbon atoms, whereas in the graphite, they're bonded to 3 other carbon atoms. And then in the fullerene, it's the weakest link. And that's what makes it more of a solution as opposed to something hard like a diamond or graphite like a pencil. So I wanted you to understand the different forms of the crystalline form of carbon, because the carbon we think about in coal and charcoal is actually the shapeless carbon. It's not the formed crystal. The diamond and graphite and fullerene are. So going back to the E and the 3 becoming the 8. The 8 is equal to the 2 parentheses, one on top and a set below. Adding the X in the middle to bring them together, the line on the top and the line below equals the hourglass of the 2 diamonds with the points connected, and then that being the center of the toroidal field. Okay, so here again is the line that I explained to you, right? So here's the 8 of the 3 and the E. There's the 2 zeros, or the 2 parentheses of the C in their reflection, needing the X in the middle of the DNA strands for each, topping it off, crowning with the base, or the hourglass sealed off at top and bottom, which becomes the middle of the toroidal field, except it's capped off, where normally this energy would be, coming out like this. It's not sealed. And it creates these toroidal fields here. So closing the top and bottom expands the human field. So 3 equals 2 that are not Christ, right? The 2 other parentheses together, like the number 3. So if you take 2 lines like the number 3, 1 and 1, they're each one side of a parentheses stacked on top of each other. Each taking, they're not waves, right? So not Christ waves. And then the E is 2 Christ waves, the other side of the parenthesis. Each taking sides as opposed to the sine wave going back and forth between sides, right? Because the sine wave would be like an S as opposed to the 3 or the E, right? So as we come into our hearts, X marks the spot, and balance with each other, the divine masculine and the divine feminine flow at 0 point. So once we come into flow in our heart and become heart-based humans, then the X that is that 0 point then can grow, like the Grinch grew 3 times that day. Okay? So then the X of the 0 point within our heart becomes our whole human being. The S and S, instead of a 3 and E, becomes 8, right? Because they both become the 8. 3 and E, or S or 2 and 5, actually. The numbers work better for S. So 2 is like the S, and then the backwards S is like a 5. Those come together also make an 8. And then coming together with the Z and the S, or 5, it's the Z and the S, but a sharp S, become that hourglass, and the 0 point at the middle. So Z equals 26, which is that page of wands, and S equals 19, which is the sun, or 25, and 2 and 5 in block numbers like on your clock are the only two numbers that no matter which way you switch them, they're always the same, because 2 and 5 are exact reflections of each other in that block writing. So 2 is the High Priestess and 5 is the Hierophant. So here is the coupling of not the High Priestess and the Magician, but the High Priestess and the Hierophant. One of the unknown, the etheric realms, and one of the known, the knowledge, the psychic heart and the mind heart of the logical man. The 26 is of the Page of Wands and the student of the Z, and the S is the 19 of the Sun Master, the student and the master. So then I was putting them together. So now I go back to the Kundalini rising, and normally you'd see an S chain going up the spine, and then one that goes opposite to make the DNA chain, right? The double helix DNA. And so then they were showing me the difference is going from, because here's a picture of what the carbon is in a molecule form is more random like this, as opposed to the crystalline, like a diamond is very formed like that. This is like free form, and this is very structured. That's what makes it stronger, okay? And I wanted you to have a visual of that. So the soft circle carbon is what we've had, right? The 2-strand DNA, and like the Kundalini energies rising and weaving back and forth. That's the free form energy, the softness of that circle. Going from the soft carbon to the diamond core, hard, as structure becomes stronger, the 12 strands of diamond light makes the 0 point clearer. The 0 point field becomes more focused and stronger, or in other words, becomes contained energy field. Oh, by the way, that picture was from firstyearengineer.com. But this energy then, with the diamond formation, becomes more contained energy field, like more combustible. The compression of coal over time, that becomes the diamond, and it's becoming the same in the human. So again, here's a picture of that, right? This is what we're used to seeing, but as it becomes more crystalline, more diamond-like, it's more structured, and therefore the structuring creates these toroidal fields. There's like a combustion here, right? Because it's a closed circuit. It's got nowhere to go. So what do we always talk about in 0 point? It's the expansion and contraction, or the explosion and implosion all at once into 0 point. It collapses into the 0 point. So this is the diamond energy of the 12-strand DNA that they're talking about. This is what they were showing me, parallels that. The compression of coal over time, whereas before it was softer carbon, now it becomes the harder carbon, as in the diamond. The compression of coal over time becoming the diamond in the rough, the human becomes the diamond from pressure extended upon them over time, maintaining yourselves under pressure. And once you're able to do that, the X marks the spot in your heart, then it funneled or channeled energy with the explosion and implosion at the same time, the expansion and contraction collapsing into 0 point field perpetually then once you're in 5D. And this finished at 222. So that's all about the one-on-one energy, one-to-one relationships. So I know that was probably a little bit confusing, but I hope you understood the purpose of that. It was really cool as I was going through it. And I'm sure more will come up, and I'll probably do a more technical diagram so it makes it easier to understand or follow. But then I was going back, remember when 3 and 2 and 2 and 3 were coming up constantly? Well, they came back again today here as I started the read, because the 3 and the 2 and the 2 and the 3, which both equal 5, have to do with those numbers I was just showing you. The 3 and the 3 and the E, and then the 2 and the 5 reflecting each other. So then when you put 3 and E back to back as opposed to forward, which makes the number 8, when you flip them around and make them back to back, and the 2 and 5, you get this Star of Bethlehem here. And then the 2 and the 5 become a little perfume bottle here. So it's coming up as the Star of Bethlehem, and the planets passing in the night to create the energetic pull of both at 0 point. The fragrance of the violet crushed, the potency of that being potentiated. All right, so again, here's taking the negativity of what they've been doing with adrenochrome and showing us how to use it in a positive way in nature in order to really channel our energies not only us in the human, but like in the olive tree, how we get it more potent in order to be more healthy for us. So at 222 to 23, which is the Fool, and then going into the King of Wands, we started this read with the Five of Swords reversed, and beneath that was the Hermit, or reflection, upright. The post-war, after reflection, dumping a load, a burden, responsibilities, and confession to a higher love, Gabriel, patience and balanced, taking one step at a time, allowing everything to unfold naturally. Lovers walking away and within to get over a loss, regret, and instability, a lack of structure, adding carbon to iron, standard pressed steel, up-leveling to diamond, the strongest, moving, visitation, and home, changing, off the beaten path to move fluidity, emotional strength. Dumping the physical desires to plant lots of roots and water them well. The War of the Roses, leaving 5 cups, 3 already gone, and dumping the other 2, or getting past the loss. One of the 3, once the 3 supporting cups fell, the 2 on top were sure to tumble. The Page of Cups is upright here, destined in the 5D connection with the King of Cups upright, happy, energized, kids, fun in the sun, exposed to the Queen of Wands upright, who may not be sharing, inequitable, debt, imbalance of shame and guilt, post-war PTSD, pain and betrayal coming up here, Lucy and Charlie Brown. 3 stopped short, right? The B was coming up as the number 3, stopped short by the 1, blocking it, right? It's like comes up like the Ace of Wands, blocking someone. She calling him a blockhead, and he walking away shamed, thinking he had something big here, a good idea, perhaps was nixed. The Queen of Wands with a long line of tails and black cats. Anne Boleyn then came up, off with their heads. She beheaded for treason. She was the second wife of Henry VIII. Henry VIII, I am. Executed so Henry could marry another, and she was instrumental in the English Reformation. She got Henry to annul his first marriage so they could marry and declare the church's independence from the Vatican. So she was very significant for that. But after all that work to get married to her, the Queen of Wands, or Lucy, is now getting back at Charlie Brown, or Henry VIII, for having put her head on the block at one time, because then he killed her, had her beheaded to marry another. He fought for her love and then killed her in the end to marry another with probable lies about adultery and being a witch. And that was at 259, which is High Priestess, and the 59 of the Five of Swords, the War. And that information just coming from Wiktionary. Released from prison. Wikipedia, I'm sorry, not Wiktionary. Released from prison, now of guilt and shame, secret passion and manifesting with DNA, RNA, the short end of the stick. Claiming if we can't give him a son, she must die so the crown can go on. The hook and third eye and tools all out on the table, roses and lilies in a high vibration crown opening after they're hooked in the past. So then the RNA and DNA were coming up. That's significant. We'll get into that on the next page. But the High Priestess the High Priestess was reversed and the Magician upright. And here coming up, the pain between, the parentheses. The attraction, and beneath that was the forgiving and learning. The harsh truth of being controlled by sex. The Queen of Wands undressing for him with flame present. The King of Pentacles upright with red cape and crown. The Five of Wands upright. Henry VIII, I am, with spies all around them. An angel with attitude at 308, which is the Empress and the Strength card, which is also today's energies, the Empress and the Strength. Chasing down the Sagittarius. While the Queen of Wands was trying on boots at 309, which is then the Empress and the Hermit, he unable to see the price if his glasses are off. Sagittarius making potions, illusory swan, the white kiss hook, sharpening his swords and words, the magician standing by with all tools on board, including the kundalini's rising into hearts from scroll work, fancy footwork, do-si-do, trying to catch her in the act, cheating, drinking, making potions, doing spell work, the magician spying on the King of Pentacles, and the patient angel or Sagittarius or Queen of Wands, or plotting each other's demise, the harsh truth of rehab, of hospitalization or an arrest, or sexual abuse or dominatrix, secret surgery, or prisoner of mutilation by crazy person, all in the past. Rebirth comes up here, number 16, and then beneath that music, which is 32, which is the journeyman, the Six of Wands, the 16 being the Tower. At 318, which is the Empress and the Moon of the 18, the King of Pentacles is upright, in separation or heartbreak, with synchronicities and heaven in his eyes, destined in state of emergency, broken, broke down, broke up, broke in, or broke through, laying all their cards out on the table, no longer keeping cards close to their chest. The Page of Swords upright with a message, an all royal lineage, the fleur-de-lis with purples, indigo, magenta, and 3 orange feathers in his cap. No car or out of commission. The dogs got out and had to pay to clean up their mess again. Libra upright, Cancer reversed, and the Page of Swords upright after reflecting post-war, conflict, viruses, etc. Guilt and shame in walking away from Bombay tents lined with gold bars, or a casino, or a fair, ending pain, painful end, betrayal, a dark night when left for dead. And Sagittarius female with an attitude, pouring again to stay patient in rebirth, which is 16, the Tower. The Queen of Swords reversed, then coming up here in the underlying energies as scorned and dumped, or in the dumps, pushed to their emotional limit and crying a lot, never satisfied with the King of Pentacles and the King of Wands, who's reversed. Reaping rewards of detoxing chaos and standing up for themselves, clearing the weeds, fending off others, clearing the field, taking the high ground. And that's coming up after the King of Wands reversed. And the King of Wands reversed is up front there behind the love sign, sitting next to the King of Pentacles upright with the 9 of Cups, but that's reversed energy in the read. At 330, which is the Empress and the 4 of Wands, the recent past is abundance upright, which also can be the Empress. The Page of Wands is upright and inspired by the King of Wands reversed, who could be Libra or have Libra in their chart, or King of Wands reverse injustice, who's unhappy with the Capricorn reverse, Scorpio upright, or detoxing suddenly of peeking out by presenting the whole truth, with little rebuttal, perhaps from the family, or to the Page of Swords and the Page of Pentacles reversed. Page of Swords is upright, with the Hermit with these kids as an advisor. So this information could be going to these kids as well as the 10 of Pentacles, family, business, or community. Grounding and integrating is the Emperor upright. Unfair that he's taking so long doing this. Or father and son reflecting each other, or mama's boy at it again, or the King of Wands reversed is pissed the Emperor suddenly gave the truth to the Queen of Swords and Page of Swords without his permission. Or the Empress and Emperor are between the King of Wands reversed and the Page of Wands upright, and the Queen of Swords and Page of Swords upright. Taurus upright, Libra reversed, Capricorn reversed, Scorpio both upright and reversed, and Aries are all here. Along with the Emperor and Empress could be a wealthy family, business, or community. At 339, the Empress and the Knight of Cups is the foundation of the 10 of Wands reversed. Post-war, dumping a load, a burden, responsibilities, without option, coming together at work, unfair, unbalanced, or debts to be paid, not sharing, and unable to implement a new plan. At 342, which is the Empress and the 2 of Cups, is the central energy here. The 5 of Wands upright, the group on fire, expanding, or conflict and battles, competition. The Queen of Swords upright speaking to the 10 of Cups upright, supposedly happy family, about choices for destiny, or talking about Rainbow Bridge and heaven on earth, synchronicities being destined, and Akashics schooling, the goose flapping their wings. Kept in check as not to cause disturbance to others who are quietly focusing now. The Page of Swords upright and the Page of Pentacles reversed definitely can be kids getting the truth from a sudden explosion, eruption, or epiphany, and the Hermit with light expanding it for them. One may be asking questions and the other doesn't understand. And the Knight of Pentacles is reversed, stuck, unable to move forward, unable to learn, or just being stubborn, or is disabled and unable to offer help. The block or the challenge here for the twins is the Six of Wands upright. The journeyman, the good news coming in, the success and attention, leading the way, knowing and keeping to themselves, and then free to leap with a loyal friend or pet. The Emperor upright and the Wounded Warrior, King of Swords reversed, resisting and ending with the Empress upright, and the Knight of Swords rushing into her with the truth along with the Page of Cups, child or message of love. Or the King of Swords reversed, Wounded Warrior is stuck with his parents, the Emperor and the Empress. Or Scorpio reversed is between the King of Swords reversed and the Empress upright, and the Knight of Swords and Page of Cups are kids coming to visit, or messages of a positive nature. Pushed to the limit in awakening to sexual energy or offer of growth and creativity, a new project from the Emperor perhaps. The Knight of Swords upright is passing 5D messages, and the Queen of Wands is holding back their true feelings, or in a heated exchange with them. Sharing at night with the Knight of Wands, weak Leo or pet, and the Page of Swords is upright here. Cancer upright, Leo reversed, Sagittarius upright, and Capricorn or Pisces reversed. The injustice of the Queen of Swords upright, and she definitely could have Libra in her chart here, and the Queen of Swords upright obsessing over a romantic tie in the present, and the Empress at the workplace bleeding out due to the Ace of Wands being pushed on them by the Page of Wands, the Sovereign upright, and the Knight of Swords upright, which definitely can be 3 young people or 3 kids, or perhaps all 3 are excited to get a position, but the Empress can only give it to one of them. The Knight of Swords is arguing with the Queen of Wands at night, or about Cancer, and Magician is hangry, fully charged and energized about love in the sun or exposure of not getting their wish, having run away from Aquarius reversed and Cancer reversed, or a hit and run accident, or stole information from an announcement, or took letters, papers, or emails so they couldn't be announced, about a breakdown or a car accident, or being on the warpath at 406, the Emperor and the Lovers, the emergency, or someone didn't give notice and went on vacation anyway. To find peace and freedom and be present to nothingness. The King of Pentacles connecting with friends or socializing, or post-war reunion away from inequitable situation at work, or people drinking or depressed, stealing or not being fair, or trying to scam dream family or bribe with pornography or secret pictures. The Magician exposed for lack of satisfaction or arrogance, and scamming the Ten of Pentacles family, business, or community to complete the cycle, or along with the Divine Feminine or Pisces in dream world of the 5D. The King of Pentacles connecting and celebrating post-war by resting, taking a break, meditating with the Divine Feminine in 5D, holding on, grounding, and being practical, exposing all to kids or on vacation with kids. Gemini upright or Virgo upright, Leo upright, Pisces upright, all here. Soon for the twins is the Hangman awake in separation to end the nightmare and the suffering in silence with the Page of Cups message of love, on a quest to reap rewards by withholding an offer of love or rejection of offer from the Knight of Cups reversed in order to be still and think about the lovers under Gabriel's wings or under umbrella policy, with the Queen of Swords upright speaking up and keeping everything under control. After separation and stress of awakening and group fighting to get the pot, and that could be the pot of anything, could be marijuana, it can be, the inheritance, whatever the pot is to you. After the separation and stress of awakening and the group fighting to get the pot, and the Queen of Swords Gemini telling them all to chill out, or the Queen of Swords or awakened one or ones surrounded by people who want something from them. The twin flames are seeing themselves as the Two of Pentacles reversed, no longer giving up their choices, healed and whole, and sometimes purging. Or Aquarius upright and Pisces upright, and the Queen of Cups reversed, or she has Aquarius and Pisces in her chart, or Dream Girl, Divine Feminine, shining their light, and the Queen of Cups reversed with their back turned, overworking and not working out, with the Six of Cups loving each other and being strong, taming the beast or pet, the Star with Taurus, Moon, or Rising standing up for themselves. Hierophant reversed over Star upright with strength between, or in the spotlight is the Divine Feminine but sad on the side, and the Divine Masculine standing up for self on the high ground. And Leo is with kids and overworking, or it's no longer working out. New love, release your ex, and engagement all came up for the twin flames. And engagement has to do with your love life is ascending to a higher level of commitment. The King of Wands, shaman, is reversed here around the twin flames, or how they are seen, after rushing in passionately or getting busy, running errands perhaps, or working out, offering a new life to a sovereign, or trying to pay them off to drop it, or after time, money, and effort given to a sovereign energy, unwilling to perform or juggle with the Knight of Wands, who could be the King of Wands reversed. Or the King of Wands reversed is offering his kids money to drop the act, or make it easier on them so they won't have to work so hard, or in other words, gifting them at 433, which is the Emperor, and the Christ vibration, or the Six of Wands. At 434, which is in the Eight of Wands, that fast-paced energetic exchange, the block for the twins is the Ten of Swords upright, dealing with ending pain on any level, or being pampered, right? The two extremes, two out in the cold, the Queen of Pentacles upright and the Knight of Pentacles reversed, that ladies always come first, or worried that the Knight of Pentacles reversed won't be able to keep up with the Queen of Pentacles upright, or maybe worried they won't like each other's kids, or the Queen of Pentacles is worried she may be expected to do all the work, while the Knight of Pentacles reversed sits idly by, or the Knight of Pentacles worried they will be expected to perform with the Queen of Pentacles in helping others, etc. And that was at 438, which is the Emperor and the Queen of Cups. Manifestation comes up here, but even more so for the twins, is adventure, nature, follow your dreams, and health. The Ten of Wands is reversed, confessing only after they got caught, nostalgic about the past memories, perhaps looking at pictures now. The Ace of Cups reversed, one big purge, dumped, overwhelmed, crying and crying, knowing and keeping their energy pure to bring good news and lead the way. The Divine Feminine in the 5D world, dreams and reality of purging and getting their feelings hurt. The 5D connect, grounding and holding on to be happy and energized and feel like a child again, or exposing all, or in the sun, stabilizing energies that are coming in. For the Two of Cups to connect in unconditional love and live happily ever after, with the Ten of Pentacles, family, business, or community, the dream family or soul group. The Hermit with light, done stretching themselves thin, coming back downstairs to deal with more guilt and shame. Not surrendering, crystals given, the King of Wands reversed shaman, or not, and the Empress abundant, dealing with drama, fighting, competing, or expanding, and challenged by bringing good news, leading the way, awakened to ego and the great pain that it causes. And the Knight of Swords sending 5D messages and purging out every last drop to come into connection with the King of Cups, that unconditional love, and the Ten of Pentacles, dream family, business, or community all around. Done growing, frog to prince, the Empress or Hermit's abundance, and the Page of Swords with a message, or the Hermit Empress have a small communication. Dumping a load, a burden, or going back downstairs post-war, feeling like pond scum, in the pits of hellfire, drama expansion with the Knight of Swords challenged by attention. No longer juggling or praying for answers, the Hanging Man is awakened and the King of Wands reversed in great pain and purging the connection with the King of Cups upright and the Ten of Pentacles, family, business, or community all around them at 457, which is the Emperor and the Three of Swords in separation. Okay, so I'm going to pull an energy deck card for you guys. Let's see how that goes. So for everybody watching, the best and highest good of all those concerned, what do we need to know? What do we need to learn? Let's clear all blocks to positive energy flow in all chakra layers, auric layers, grounding and galactic cords across all dimensions of time, space, matter, and realities for the highest good of all is concerned. And fill that empty space with only beautiful divine love and diamond crystalline light. And so it is. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, what is our takeaway from this read and all the downloads I was getting? Victory, the 28 of the twin flames, the choice of path. There you got victory again, graduation day. 41 is that self-love, spiritual love, new love. And the 28 is always that continuous choice of path. Okay, the crowning moment. And we talked a whole lot about the crown today, about closing the crown off in order to heat up the energy, right? Because the heat rises, right? To make it stronger, more powerful, more potent, to expand and contract all at the same time from 0 point. Creating that very channeled or funneled energy, making it so focused and direct, right? So there's no loss there, there's no waste. It's all very streamlined energy and very potent. So that's what's coming up. And we have the attachment as well, removing the mask, the 5 of the Hierophant, change and freedom, taking off the mask, dropping the facade, letting go of attachments. Remember, we're trying to stay between attachment and resistance. You don't want to attach to something, but you don't want to resist it either. You may have an opinion, but you don't want to attach or resist on either side of that. It's really about staying between that, right? Because when you become attached to something, then you're going to be upset when you have to let go. If you resist something, you're going to go into frustration, like the past, right? One is like the future energy, the other one's like the past energy, right? The past makes you cry, the future makes you frustrated because you don't have it yet, you're in lack. So it's paralleling those two energies. The bottom of the deck being the woman thinking, the 47 of the options, the choices, the dreams come true, the synchronicities, and the transformation, the metamorphosis of the butterfly from the caterpillar, and making her own dreams come true. Perhaps reading up on something new. What's under this is the 23, which is all tied up. This one's the one playing coy, and this is the King of Wands, who's reversed in this read. After being all tied up, freeing someone's self to do what they want. And besides the 3, and these are very feminine energies, the first 3 cards here, then the next 2 cards that came out were these 2 here. And that can represent children as well. And again, this represents the 16 of the Tower, and perhaps sudden liberties taken away or given back. That we have all the time in the world, that time is of the essence, or it means nothing at all, right? And then the 26 was coming up a lot today, because that came up as the Page of Wands in the numbers that I was showing you, the 2s and 5s and 3s and E's. This is the frustration, right, that we go into when we don't have something yet. And that's a block. And it's about releasing all these frustrations. And this is someone, who obviously is not happy, right? Because they've had their liberties taken away from them. She has the Statue of Liberty kind of crown on. But again, you see these crowns, very significant in closing the circuit to purify the energies, to allow them to build up into that epiphany that then comes out inside of you. And I definitely had a little bit of a purge the other night. And I always know something big is coming after a purge. It's very interesting how the cycles go. So the Tower and the Page of Wands is, that explosive energy. And, this is the Twin Towers comes up with this energy, and the Statue of Liberty. And the frustrations of the angry young man here. So that's what's coming up. It's again, the exploding and the imploding all at the same time. He's exploding, she's imploding. Okay, you see the contrast there? She's doing it internally, he's doing it externally. And that's what they're trying to show you. All right, so let me pull out the Scooby-Doo deck. Let's see what Scooby-Doo has to say for you guys. What is our takeaway? What is our takeaway? Three of Cups reversed. So that has to do with social distancing, third-party situations, bad influences, groups that no longer resonate with you or don't fit. And we have the Two of Swords reversed here too, which is getting new information, but then it knocks you off balance, right? So it's not all that fun, right? Because you get the information you want, but then you're knocked off balance. And I like how the flow goes right into his elbow here. So somebody might get elbowed in the face. And that was somebody getting hit in the eye yesterday too, or the day before. So it's like whatever this is, negative groups, third party, social distancing, it's like news comes in about that and may knock you off balance. And then we have the Two of Pentacles as the next card, which is upright. So this is about letting it come in and then just letting it sit for a minute and integrate, and you'll upright naturally. And then be proud of yourself. Okay? Nine of Clubs is the Nine of Wands, the wounded warrior. And then we have the Queen of Wands. Okay? The wounded warrior and the Queen of Wands, being pleased with herself. And then we have the Seven of Swords, also pleased with themselves, right? Fluffing their chest feathers. And the Seven of Swords, you know, that's that liar, cheater, thief card. So do you trust it? I don't know, right? Because the Nine of Wands is the wounded warrior. This is not the surrender. They're being proud of themselves for not having given up. Queen of Wands is coming up as pleased with herself, but this is the liar, cheater, thief card. Can you trust them? Then we have the Six of Pentacles, which is the balance card. And this is someone saying, I got it all under control, which is coming up in the read. It came up as the Queen of Swords. Someone who's got it all under control. So that could be this energy as well. And then this is the move of the Four of Wands, the lack of stability. So there's a lot of back and forth there going on, like learning how to bring yourself back to center again as soon as any things come up, because you're going to be dealing with more stuff coming up in a faster pace. So it's just getting you ready for that. The underlying energy is the Ten of Wands reversed, which came up in the read reversed, which has to do with, you know, getting caught and then confessing, right? Because you got caught. And then the Five of Pentacles reverse, which is recovering from exile, recovering from destitution, illness, or injury, recovering from being left out in the cold or feeling left behind, okay? So recovering from all that and learning how to bounce back really quickly from any kind of interesting event that you may come across, right? Maybe something will happen that will bring up a rise in you. Maybe you'll get a little bit hostile and you'll be surprised that you felt that. Maybe you're going to withdraw and you have to know how to come back to 0 point from that as well. Because now it's like you've graduated. Now you're on your own. Now you got to practice what you preach. And that's what's coming up for us here. All right, so now we have the Journey of Love. Journey of Love. Journey of Love. All right, what is our takeaway from this? What is our takeaway here? The Temple 59 is the Five of Swords, and that was reversed in the read today, which is good for the Five of Swords. So here we have the Temple, which is the ceremony. And then we have, just for a moment, joy of the 46, the inner child and the heart. And then we have the sensual awakening here, 64, which is ending the pain. Okay, and this is the 11th hour too. The 11th hour and just a moment of joy. And this is reminding me of like in how the bride and groom separate before they get married. This is the bride, you know, having a moment to herself to shine and love herself first. And then coming together in the temple here. And then the sensual awakening of the bliss state. See if there's anything else that wanted to come up. Hold on one second. You just have to count a few cards. And the bottom of the deck is Fire and Ice 37, which is the King of Cups, which is unconditional love. Let's see how many cards came out here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, so the Hangman and Wisdom. And the top card on this card always reminds me, you see they're the two holding hands, and there's walking into this event. It's like the bride and groom walking into the room of the celebration, what's it called? After you get married. It's like, yep, everyone's in a circle, holding hands, celebrating the light. And it looks like I'm being reminded of a magnet. I'm getting like this is a big magnet right here. A horseshoe magnet. I don't know why that's what I'm getting, but I am. It's so weird. I'm getting a magnet, and I'm getting like this is like a makeup mirror. You know how it's like tilted forward a little bit? But it's sitting on this big magnet, and here's the mirror. It's like, you know, mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all? And it's magnetizing you to you. Very interesting. The communal dance. It's magnetizing you to your soul group. And the 12, to hang out, to be wise and see new perspectives, and allow others to help you see those new perspectives. So what are we're going to read the temple. That's 59. Okay. The lover and the beloved meet in sacred space. They take respite from the cares of the world, entering into sanctuary where only they exist. You are in need of this. Meditation, making love, connection and dance, intimacy and surrender into the moment. Your body and soul need to enter into the temple and participate in sacred ceremony. Choose to give this to yourself. Set aside time. Turn off the computer and mobile phone. Turn on music and set the lighting. Be in the present moment. Do you remember your body? Ah, yes, here it is. Can you be in this temple with presence and delight? This oracle brings guidance to take time out to smell the flowers, savor the pleasures of life, and renew your connection to the inner lover. Your sensuality wants to come out and play. You're encouraged to explore scent, touch, taste, and feeling. You are encouraged to play with color. What moves you? What brings you into connection with yourself in this moment again? Is it the wholeness of divine self-connection in sacred space? It is that will best nourish you now. Love should be given as it is received. On this day I grant you the love of 1,000 mountain streams and the pleasure of 100 bleats from a newborn baby fawn, for I too cry for love. And like the fawn, I cry with the hunger of being alive. And on this day I cry for the happiness of giving and the warmth of receiving and the softness of your gentle touch. It is moments like these when I smile for the someone who will always care. Okay. I hope you got all that. Sorry about the beginning when my mic wasn't on. I hope you can hear the beginning. Make sure you drink your water, get your rest, get your joy, get your nature. Love you guys. Rise and be loved. Have an amazing night, and I will see you soon. Bye.